Yes.
But like the comparison, like with me and some of the other guys.
So that'd be something neat to see, the higher centers.
The Pirates playing in Williams.
Welcome back for the third period. The XFL starts on, we are recording on the 17th, so tomorrow.
Soon to be today, based on how long this show tends to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the XFL is finally back.
Did it ever go away?
News of it, no, but playing wise, it hasn't been around.
With it.
Wise. Well, we know what Jason's doing later.
It's not like Chinese algebra there, David. This is a big year for spring football. I know we talked about the commercials for the Super Bowl earlier. There were quite a few for USFL.
Yeah, there were.
Fox is all in on it, and as they should be since they partially own it.
I was going to say. Because USFL starts April 15th.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting with what's going on.
Oh, because there's two games on February 18th, which today, which a lot of people, by the time you hear this, the games will already be played. But Sunday, the 19th, there's two games at 3 and 8. And then Thursday, the 23rd, there's a game. So they got it spread out throughout the week.
The good thing, last time they did have the support of ESPN as the games were airing on there, but it seems like ESPN and ABC are far more invested as far as advertising and making it known that the XFL is going to be on their stations. So tomorrow,
ESPN Plus mainly has the games, of course. Some are regular ESPN, some are ABC. I see some are FX.
That's a good thing, though. That gives as many teams visibility to as many viewers as possible. Does that mean everyone's going to watch? No.
ESPN2.
But for those of you who are fans of spring football, this is a good thing. So tomorrow's first game, 3 p.m., it's going to be the Vipers from Vegas against the Arlington Renegades. 8:30 p.m., it's going to be the Orlando Guardians against the Houston Roughnecks. Sunday at 3, it is the St. Louis Battlehawks against the San Antonio Brahmas, which it blows my mind that isn't based on the Rock. It's actually San Antonio's like the capital of Brahma Bulls. And then 8 on Sunday on ESPN, it's the Seattle Sea Dragons against the DC Defenders. I believe Houston, Seattle, or St. Louis, and DC are the returning teams from the 2020 season.
Trying to remember.
Which I gotta say, a lot of people call that 2020 season a failure. I can't, because it was interrupted by COVID. We never had a chance to see it.
Yeah,
play a
never
full
had to see it
to judge if it was a failure or not. The little bit I saw, they were in full stadiums because they were playing soccer. They were in soccer stadiums. They were in full stadiums. People were absolutely into it, and the games were pretty good. Give these things time before you call it a failure.
Yeah, you're right that it wasn't. We everything in 2020 was halted. In general, everything was. Every sport that was attempting to come back had to take different precautions, different procedures, and this just didn't come out with it. So you can't call it a failure when you didn't see the whole thing.
Right. You never got to see it play out to know if it could or would.
I mean, 2020, you really can't call any sport that had to halt a failure just because of what happened. But some people will.
Yeah, you can't make everyone happy.
No.
Let's see
No.
here.
I just find interesting reading over the one rule that they're looking to bring back for kickoffs. Because I know me and Jason was reading over this between periods. That the rule is only the kicker and the returner are allowed to move during the kickoff. The kickoff rule consists of 10 players. Now I'm reading this from MSN on their sports section. The kickoff rule consists of 10 players on the kicking team, 10 on the receiving team, except everyone except the kicker and the returner lining up across from each other 5 yards apart. No one except the kicker and returner can move until either the returner touches the ball or the ball has been on the ground for 3 seconds. What are they going to do? Have somebody go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Go get it. I just find that interesting on how, like, now they're saying that's to lessen injuries.
I mean, we're always very supportive of player safety, so it's kind of hard to.
Oh yeah. Increase returns we both and decrease injuries.
Well, yeah, we're not ignorant fans. We understand that, these guys' careers are pretty short, and this isn't no.
I just never realized that was a rule. To be honest with you.
And you don't want to say it this way, but the XFL and the USFL, because they're going to be looked at as one and the same, even though they're not. This is a lower tier of football. That doesn't mean it's less. It's absolutely less than, but the pay these guys are getting isn't on the same level as the NFL. So not only are their careers shorter, they're not getting paid as much. So I think anything that can keep them as safe as possible in situations isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's not a bad thing at all. I just never knew that was actual rule because they said it's bringing back an old NFL rule. I never knew that. I never knew that was a rule, to be honest with you. Looking this up here. What are the players' salaries? Football operations. On deals that would pay players $5,000 per week with a $1,000 bonus win. Average salary is $60,000 from training camp to the end of the season.
Well, that hurts.
The XFL has valued its benefit package as worth an additional $20,000 in addition to paying for housing and 2 meals a day during the season. So, well, and how many episodes have we talked about with the minor leagues of, baseball, hockey?
They're getting paid better than minor league baseball players.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like we talked about how their pay their pay rankings are not always the best for what they do.
So, sidebar here. The Arena Football League is planning to come back in 2024.
Oh. Wonder if they're going to bring all the teams back.
They gotta. Who knows, man? I mean,
well, Philadelphia had a team.
It always baffles me that arena football always had to struggle because it's fun to watch. On paper, it seems like a no-brainer.
It's interesting to watch, and
it's folded twice in our lifetime.
And for the people who don't know what arena football is, it's basically there's netting on each side, so you can field goal or kickoffs can be bounced off the back of the netting and returned. There's really no sidelines for out of bounds. It's you hit a barrier and that's it. But
it's the 50-yard war is what it's called.
Yeah, it's a shortened field.
So it's always been said that football fans are the most passionate fans in all of sports. I have my feelings on that. If they truly are, this is the time for them to step up and support both spring leagues. Support arena football. Because if you truly love football the way it's proclaimed that you do, you should be all in on all of these. Because this is basically the equivalent of minor league baseball for football.
Oh, this is a football fan's dream. I mean, they have the XFL, they have the USFL, and if arena football is kicking in, they have, as I'm looking at the Wikipedia here of arena football, the third incarnation of it.
You would think, but there's a reason these leagues fail, and part of it is attendance, part of it is ratings. And if football fans are supposed to be this great fan base who love pro football, why aren't they supporting these leagues? Why aren't they watching? Why aren't they going out? Like, granted, last season's USFL is kind of, it's not something really to reference back to, but it is because it's all we got to reference back to for a current incarnation of spring football. There were games where there might have been 12 people in the stands and you're watching an empty stadium on TV.
Yeah, I mean, also that was also played in one location at that point. It wasn't played at the home team's field. It was all played at one location.
Right.
Which will play a part in that.
I just have, I'll watch and I will invest my time, but it just seems like a lot of people don't. And those are always the same people who complain that, well, there isn't anything else to watch. Well, guess what? You had other football to watch and you didn't invest your time in it. To me, it's the equivalent of me going to a Reading Phillies game or a Senators game. I'm investing my time to support minor league sports.
No problem going to those. I have no problem.
It's like going. It's like going to a Bears game. You're supporting minor league sports. Support these leagues. Support the team that's closest to you geographically. I think for us, it's going to be DC. For the XFL, for the USFL, it's going to be the Philly Stars.
The Defenders are going to be the closest to us.
And I think it's absolutely smart. Seriously, I think it's absolutely smart that the Defenders are playing at the DC United's field. Capacity's 20,000. That place was sold out during those early 2020 games.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that. Inside baseball, I had to sneeze. I was saving your eardrums.
Looking at the player salary for the XFL, for contents, the NFL practice squad players will earn a minimum of $12,000 per week in 23. The minimum salary for an NFL player active roster, $750,000. So, now, don't get me wrong. I understand that they're not, the XFL is not going to have this, the salary of that.
Right. But if people watch, and it does,
if people watch, it's going to grow. Then
it's going to grow. Guys will get paid better, and
it has the potential to progress. But a lot of this, though, could be, I mean, hell, who knows? People who play in the USFL, XFL could possibly go to the NFL.
That's true, too.
Because, hey, this player looks like they got good talent, that they play well. Watch them a whole season. I mean, I guarantee you there's probably going to be scouts at these games like they do at college level. There's probably going to be, I mean, hell, probably some of these players would love to be on the practice squad making $12,000 a week.
Yeah.
Just to make the practice squad.
I just want it to do well. Get at least enough ratings that it will come back. But it's a wait and see approach, sadly.
I think at first it might be everything's going to be right for the first couple of weeks, just to see, like the first couple of games, everybody's going to be excited, like, hey, what's this? The problem is, will it keep that attention or will it die off because of, sort of like a brand new restaurant comes in, it's packed for the first few weeks and then dies off. Will this be the same way? I hope not. But,
I got to be honest, and I don't know how other people would view this. I definitely view the XFL at a level just a bit higher than the USFL. Based on perception, to me, the XFL is coming across as a bigger deal than the USFL currently is.
Is it because it's new, or that the season starts tomorrow, today, whatever time it is?
And I don't look at it as new.
Or is it that it's starting soon and the USFL starts in April, so they're really not going to advertise it until maybe closer to that time?
But we were just talking about how Fox was all in on ads for it during the Super Bowl. So, I mean, we saw the USFL ads during the Super Bowl, and they were hyping it. It just seems like, and I think it's because ESPN is involved with the XFL. It feels like it's more important. Because for all of ESPN's faults, it's still, it's still one of the most sought after on-air homes for sports. There's a reason why the NHL's back on there. There's a reason why there's Sunday night baseball with MLB. They have Monday Night Football. So it just feels like the XFL being on ESPN and ESPN being so invested in it, it just feels like it's a bigger deal than the USFL is.
Well, right now, just looking up the USFL salary here, according to an agreement, players will receive a minimum weekly salary of $5,350, which is a jump from last season's weekly of $4,500.
That's nothing to complain about.
That's a good jump for them.
I wish I was getting that a week.
Right?
I'm in the wrong line of work.
Aren't we all in that case? So, I mean, if it jumps to a nice increase with stuff, then yeah, let's just hope it just gets the push it needs to actually keep going, because who knows, some of these players coming out of college who at the time they weren't good enough for the NFL get some play time under their belt and move forward. And
you never know, I mean, who can come out of nowhere and become something in the NFL. I mean, look at, it's a shot in the dark, but look at Kurt Warner. He was the quarterback for the Iowa Barnstormers in the AFL, and then he won a Super Bowl.
Steve Young played in the USFL.
Well, we gotta grade the '80s USFL on a bit of a curve because it was actually a big deal. Like they were
Yeah,
signing
at the time,
Heisman
yeah.
Trophy winners. You know,
At the time,
they
yeah.
weren't getting they weren't getting what's left over. They weren't getting scraps. They were signing Heisman Trophy winners and MVPs from bowl games. Like,
Yeah, they were. But still. But still.
I think Doug Flutie had a multi-million-dollar contract to play for the New Jersey Generals. It's they're not the same.
Well, let's just hope nobody has to, from the USFL, or hell, even at this point, the XFL, have to race to the bank.
That's one of my favorite freaking stories in that documentary. Small Potatoes, who killed the USFL, great ESPN 30 for 30. And I'm still a fan of the Gunslingers uniform colors. They were sweet.
But that was an interesting part of this, the documentary, where they said like they had to race to the bank to see who got paid first. Because if you were last, you were screwed.
So, I mean, we're already going down this road. I think the original USFL grew too fast too soon. They probably should
Yeah.
have just stayed at 8 teams for a few seasons and then expanded. And they freaking expanded like the next season. And some of those owners just did not have the capital to run a league or run a team, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, the ones that were healthy, you know, like Tampa Bay Bandits had John Bassett, who's already been involved in fledgling leagues. So he knew how to operate it and function and have a team function under those circumstances. And then you also had his co-owner was freaking Burt Reynolds. Those are two guys that had plenty of cash to run a team. You know, it wasn't like Joe Schmo from Western Michigan who owns 3 or 4 banks is funding a team.
Yeah. I mean, I just have to make that little the little joke there, right? Just with the old.
It's a great story. I love that story. But the good thing is with like the XFL being owned by The Rock and the people he's associated with.
I wonder if that's actually going to help the XFL like shoot high up there.
Well, you know, he's not broke.
Well, yeah, you think, and not just from movies either.
And they didn't rush it back as soon as they bought it. They took their time. They put their ducks in a row. They were cautious. I mean, to me, it feels like they did a lot of things right to make this happen again. And then with the USFL, it's owned by Fox. So, I mean, these two leagues are owned by what should be stable ownership.
Yeah, I mean,
it's already given it more life than the previous ones had.
And you're right with the XFL. It's not like they, as soon as it was bought, it was rushed to the TV, but it's like you said, planned out, thought out, had everything's in order before they said, "Hey, this is what's going to happen."
Right.
Which is always good because in this way they're kind of maybe they prepared for a couple scenarios that could happen.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I just hope it's successful. You know, I just hope the USFL and the XFL boost their ways, higher now, being that the USFL should be back in their own home stadiums rather than just one. And the XFL gets the recognition they deserve for what it is. And not the old school XFL, I should say.
That's another subject for another episode. We'll put it at that.
Yeah. So, starts tomorrow or today.
We're a half hour away from tomorrow.
Okay. I just looked at the time.
It's still Friday.
I just looked at the clock. So
we're not playing Saturday ball yet.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. And that's the end of the third. Another day.
Another show in the books.
More football, baseball around the corner. Gotta love it.
Yeah. I'm glad there's spring football. I am. I think it's I think it's a great concept. I just hope more people think it's a great concept. So you can catch me every other week on the Rock and Randy's podcast, where myself and the other moderators of the Rock and Randy's Pro Wrestling Outlaws Facebook group bring our admin chat to you, the listener. We had one hell of an episode last week. David heard a little bit of it before we started this period. This episode had a lot of inside names around each other who were on it because of where the humor on the show went. But it's probably our funniest one yet. And that covers a lot of ground. But you can find that wherever you get your podcasts. Please do not forget to subscribe, rate, and review. That's pretty much it for plugs at this moment in time. We don't really got a lot. Anything you want to talk about here before we call it a night?
I'm good. Unless I'm missing something.
Just figured I'd be polite and ask. Well, with that, thank you for joining us for episode 63 of the Not Another Sports podcast. You can find us online at our Teespring, not our Teespring, Jesus, our link.
You're cut off.
Account. Our Linktree account. That link is in the description of every episode, along with our fans idea link, our 9+ us link, and our ballsy link. So you can. We got you with jerseys and with caps and T-shirts, and we got your nether regions covered too. So
I was wondering how you were going to word that one.
Yeah, I had something in mind, but it wasn't working, so I just had to do that. Yeah, so we got your needs covered. So use our links, use our discount codes, and get yourself something nice, and support our show. Also in our our Linktree account, that'll take you to our social media accounts, our Teespring account, our YouTube page. If you want to watch us, David posts those videos. They're split up. The all three periods post at different times and days. I think it's Monday, Wednesday,
Sunday or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
There you go. So then you can sit and watch us look at each other while we talk. And then, yeah, dude, it's been a long day. It's been a long week.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know.
The Not Another Sports podcast is available for streaming download at Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, TuneIn, and I feel like I'm missing one, but we got all your bases covered. Wherever you want to find us, you got to be able to find us, basically. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. My name's Jason.
I'm David.
We'll talk with you next time.
Have a good one.